Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Well, thank you for coming to another episode of Breaking Down Buhurt. I'm Sean Roberon, team captain of the Green Mountain Hermits, which is eventually the melee team for Vermont Armored Combat.
And I'm Colby Thompson. I'm a duelist with Vermont Armored Combat, one of the members. I also run the club's money as the treasurer, which is not very much fair right now.
Yeah, we'll get there. So today, we want to get a little bit more personal between the two of us when it comes to things pertaining to armored combat. A little bit less on technique or the different types of fighting, all that stuff. More of like events that we are planning to go to, participate in, and kind of our vibe when it comes to these experiences. So one of the things that I want to talk about was, what dreams do we both personally have for VAC, for Vermont Armored Combat? When you think about like kind of goals that you have in mind for VAC, what would those include?
Yeah. I think what's difficult about this sport is just that, as an activity to do, as a hobby, as a passion, it's you need to have people to be able to do it with, to be able to do it, and to be able to create a community locally where we have all the folks that we need to be able to have fun, and not have to drive far. That's really something I'm seeing happen right now, which is really cool. I mean, even since maybe our second episode that we've done here, we've maybe had 3 or 4 new folks come and just start coming to our practices, which has been really awesome. We have a member who is almost fully kitted up now, a new member, so we'll have 4 people who have all their steel. We have other people putting in orders for starting to put their kit together. So it is happening. I guess my dream for it is to be something where, it can be more than just like a once a week, couple-hour practice that we have on Sundays, which is what we're doing right now. It's fun to have that training atmosphere where we go there and work on technique and then do some sparring. But it would be really cool if we could spread it out maybe a couple days a week. Have like, hey, we have the Thursday sessions where we do only soft kit and we do melee stuff. And if people want to duel in the corner, we'll do that for my sake. and then on Sundays we can do like more technique things and like trying to go, really focusing on doing well and performing well with what we've been working on. But, a day to kind of mess around would be really neat. I also really want to run, like, games, too, like in the field next to the cotton mill building. Kind of do, like, capture the flag but as a melee group kind of thing. So it can work on just situational awareness, running around, so you're getting all that exercise in. But now it's, like, just totally having fun with your friends, Yeah, those are my thoughts. How about you?
For me, like I have kind of like my short-term goals, and then there's kind of long-term goals in my mind. And for me, a short-term goal was definitely try to get at least a 5-person melee team put together and kitted by the end of this year.
Yeah,
we're getting there.
Yeah,
you were talking about, we have acquired quite a few new members within the last few months, and I see it as a very possible thing that by the end of the summer, we will have 5 people in kit who want to do melees.
Yeah.
Because I know, like our founder Will, they wear that 35-pound kit that's super lightweight, meant to optimize themselves for duels, and that's all they want to do. And you're kind of on the fence about whether you want to do competitions for melees. Like you want to do the games with the group, which will be a lot of fun. But when it comes to like the core group of melee fighters that will want to go to like the Knights Hall and fight at a melee event or something like that, I don't see it as a very difficult task to get those 5 ready by the end of the summer.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my short-term goal for this year, and I think we're going to definitely get it. Longer-term goals include I would really like it if we could make this something where on a monthly level we are putting on some type of local event that people from Bellows Falls can come to and enjoy. Maybe it can be something that's just very specifically just Armored Combat. Just a night once a month where people can come enjoy themselves watching Armored Combat happen in Bellows Falls or somewhere around here. That's definitely a long-term goal, like a monthly type of thing.
Yeah.
And by running those types of events, my hope would be that we'd be able to bring in a little bit of money from each one of those events that then helps us sustain what we're trying to do, but also help our group grow and help support new members coming in. It's kind of that idea of like wanting like universal health care or education. Oh, well, yeah, maybe you grew up with debt because you were living in a society that wasn't having universal health care and education. Isn't it a cool thought that someone else down the road doesn't have to suffer like that? And so like that's kind of my thought process when it comes to that. I would love it if we were able to down the road have enough money in our bank from things that we run that when a new member comes in, we can even help them get started with it. Maybe at the very least some type of a loaning type of thing where it's like you don't have $2-3 grand to just throw down on a steel kit, but you've been with us for a while and you really want to do it, so here's like almost a loan from VAC. And then over time you can pay it back. It'd be really cool if we could build ourselves up to have that type of a treasury. From events that we do.
Yeah, actually that is a pretty neat idea. I do like that.
And so those are like a few long-term goals that I have. I'm thinking of it almost on a business level when I'm imagining what we could do down the road. Or like biggest goal that is definitely a very, very long-term thing is, wouldn't it be cool to have a venue? Like the Knights Hall. They have their own venue that they do their own things at. They're very well established. People know that they exist and can know to expect something from them when they go to there. And I'd be really cool if we had that, if we had some type of a venue. So that long-term goals. So yeah, those are some dreams that I have, and just helping us grow, become as diverse and numbered as possible in a very supportive community. Where we can help a lot of people grow inside of it.
Yeah, and when you mentioned that, as far as doing fight events, say in Bellows Falls or in Brattleboro at a local thing, something that could be monthly, like you were saying, I do know some other teams have set up in their region. They'll perform it. I've seen things like it at breweries in like the brew warehouse or whatever, where there's the big tanks and everything. Just you need a lot of space essentially,
right?
Or out maybe outside of like a tavern or something where there's like a picnic area or something like that. People have done things, and we have something like that might work in Brattleboro. I've thought of. I don't know Bellows Falls as well, so I can't think particularly to this area. But then there's always like trying to pair. How do you bring what we're doing to a wider audience to be like, this thing is generally fun to watch. Even if you have no idea what's happening.
Right. If you were just
like,
walking by and
if
you
you're
just
walking
saw
by
that happening, you might just stop and just be like, what? What is it?
Yeah. And so I know that's how a lot of people feel, and certainly, but like pairing it up, like do we want to be doing this at a bar at 6 o'clock on a Friday night, or is that going to be like not the type of thing that we want to be doing? You know what I mean? Because it's just like depends on the atmosphere we want to be around. Like, is this like a family friendly thing? I don't know if it's really something that like we certainly aren't. I'm not doing it because I'm like, I love kids. I want to do sword fighting because children. Like, no. Like, there's no.
It's a very personal thing.
It's like it is like it's combat and it's fighting. It's not because there's the night thing. I think sometimes there's like a correlation that it's just like, oh, dragons and spells and magic and knights and whatever, like kids' books.
Childish things.
Yeah, and I do kind of want to get away from that sort of imagining of what we're doing a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's no reason that it's not something that a family could come and watch. But it's just like realizing it's not like a performance for a kid's birthday party. You know what I mean?
Right. Kids definitely enjoyed it at the gallery walk, though. Any kids that came along wanted to take pictures, sometimes with some of us, or just were just kind of like big-eyed about watching what we were doing, because they were just, I've seen this in movies, but I never thought that I was going to actually see someone who looked like a knight, like a stereotypical armored knight, and that's cool. And so, like you said, there's no reason it can't be for families.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to find that balance too.
Definitely.
Because I don't want it to just be a thing where we're at bars.
Yeah.
And having that type of vibe. Nothing against bars. It's just I don't go to them. Like if I wasn't, because I don't drink, if I wasn't at a bar for Armored Combat, I wouldn't be at the bar to begin with.
My partner and I performed, we did a lot last year and for years before. We've taken a little hiatus right now with her being in school, but we used to gig out for music where we were in a duo, we played in a band, and so we, just take whatever gigs we can get and we'd play, all around the Keene, Brattleboro, just general area. And so I kind of know though, like, come 8 o'clock at night, people have had a few drinks. There's always some people who aren't really fun to be around when they've had a couple beers or whatever they're drinking.
Yeah.
And like as a musician, it can kind of become a problem and be uncomfortable. But I can't imagine, and that's just from stimulation from live music. Imagine now you have people like attacking each other.
Right.
Like what is that going to do to the inebriated mind
right.
of someone who's lacking some self-control? You know what I mean? So that's something that plays in my head too, where I don't know. I mean, we are in armor, so.
I was about to say, we're at least in armor, so if they start swinging, they're only going to hurt themselves. Yeah, it's true. That's why I said I'd like to find that balance where we're kind of bringing all of that together, trying to create a more community-based program or a community-based event for people to come to.
Yeah.
Dreams for VAC. Those are just a few of our own. Our current sponsors of Vermont Armored Combat.
Yeah.
We don't currently have financial donors. We don't have like a person who's giving us some money just for existing or something. Nothing like that. But we do have people who are helping us for sure.
Yeah.
Like there's Sidestream Studios in Brattleboro. That's where we practice at. And we have a very great deal from them when it comes to the use of their space, and we're very grateful for it.
Yeah.
And so if you're ever looking for a place to learn to dance, get some hip hop, or do lots of other types of programs that I've seen them doing there, like the person who's running it definitely creates a diverse atmosphere in her space of different types. I think I've seen like improv and acting classes happening in her space, dance groups, other things like that. So if you're interested in finding unique, cool, active things that you could be doing, Sidestream Studios is definitely a cool place to go and check it out if you're looking for an interesting class.
100% agree.
So very grateful to them for like the use of their space for our classes. And then we've got Cobbco Arena Games. It's a hobby store that's in Charlestown that I frequent because I'm a nerd. And I play Magic, and I also just enjoy all of the nerdy medieval fantasy things that get brought up. Like that was kind of my lead-in into Armored Combat, was the fact that I was a nerd and I like swords and stuff. So, Cobbco actually became a sponsor for us and donated a bunch of product, like $1,000 worth of product from their store, that we will be using at one of our events as like prize pool for people to get during the tournament, and they're great. Like they're an awesome, really cool group of people who are running it, and a very good community of players there. So if you're looking for a place to do Magic or Warhammer mini games or Dungeon and Dragon nights or anything like that, they've got a bunch of booths and tables set up for all of these different things, and they're a very welcoming business when it comes to people coming in. So Cobbco Arena Games, really cool place. And then the third is the Tower, and you know a little bit about the Tower.
Yeah.
I'm less knowledgeable because I'm not from Brattleboro.
The Tower is a bar and lounge in Brattleboro. They are formerly the Collective Bar and Lounge, but now they've kind of rebranded, become the Tower, which was a natural pairing, I'd say, with what we do. And so,
Cool logo.
Cool logo, yeah, off of the tower that's in Brattleboro, the stone tower that was somehow part of the retreat trails. It was built by, I'm actually not sure, maybe it was like that people who were the patients at the retreat, like 100 years ago or something. Kind of a creepy history a little bit from what I have heard, but yeah, it is just a cool thing they're doing there, a whole cool vibe in that spot, like lots of music. And so it was part of the gallery walk recently, which I know we're going to be chatting about next. But she, Kate Berry, we reached out to see if she would be down to see if we could set up a little demonstration in front of the Tower Bar. This was the Tower's official first gallery walk as the Tower. And it was great. I think it worked out for us to be like in a nice location at Gallery Walk that kind of had a nice flow to it, as opposed to kind of swimming in the parking lot, which is what we've done in the past. And we also drew people to that corner of Gallery Walk, which is kind of like by where people park next to the covered parking garage. And so, folks would come back every half hour and be like, "Are you fighting yet?" And then sure enough, they'd head on into the bar after.
And do you know of any other things that the Tower has going on? Like, because I know that they're a bar and they're a lounge area. Do they do any types of other events that you're aware of? I
know they do stuff weekly, certainly, at their location, obviously. They've got like a trivia night that happens every week.
Gotcha.
Some of our friends run. And okay. And they have music a couple nights. They have like a jazz night. They have kind of a more traditional, folk songwriter, singer type thing. And I think they still run an open mic there too. They're very busy with being active in the community and opening up for people to like perform and have fun at that space.
A lot of local performing things. Then that sounds cool.
Tons of it. Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Tower. If you're looking for a drink or if you're looking for just some local entertainment, they seem like they've got it in Brattleboro. So, thank you to those three sponsors for, one being our place for practice, one being a generous donor of prize pool products for fighters, and then the last for just being our kind of host site for some of our events like Gallery Walk and being a place that allow us to store stuff and allow us to sit right out front their place and fight. So now. We got about 10 minutes left, and so one of the things I want to talk about real quickly is what I should expect at next weekend's event that's called War Camp. Mm-hmm. I know the Knights Hall, which is a group down in Nashua. We've talked about them in the past. Very cool group. They're putting on an event called War Camp next weekend. That Friday is like a night of pro fights,
right?
And night fights for the Knights Hall for ACS, and that means a lot of grappling, knocking each other over, a little bit more aggressive, subjective judging and fights based on dominance, all that type of stuff. So that'll be Friday, and then Saturday, I believe there's a bunch of melee fighting that's going to be happening, and I believe. At the event, I'll be fighting on one of the teams that's going to be there and trying to prove myself inside of melees. It's going to be my first time fighting in an actual real melee. It's very exciting, but it's a different type of excitement than I've felt before, because up until now, any fight that I've ever been in has always just felt just for fun. Mm-hmm. There was nothing at stake. Whereas for this event, I had that excitement of that feeling like I have something to gain by winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So So I feel like I'm wanting to step it up a little bit at this event, like pushing myself a little bit harder, going a little harder at it. And so there's an excitement and there's a nervousness to that excitement, but it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like it's like that first time that you have ever fought. It feels like that again because I've never done melees and because of what feels like there's something to win. So
Definitely.
that's something I'm feeling for it. And then
Sunday is duels pretty much, right?
Yes, I think there's duels and stuff happening Sunday, and one of those days, and I can't believe we didn't look it up before we started this conversation, but one of those days is a Mother's Day event. So if you want something cool to do with your mother, look up the Knights Hall online, find their website, look up their event. There's tickets to be had, and they even have like a package deal where for $50 it covers your mom and then I think 3 others. And so for $50 I would get 4 people to go and see this event. So if you're looking for something really cool to do, it's going to be happening down at Ye Olde Commons in Charlton, Mass. So come and check it out. It'll be a lot of fun. Now, for a few events that we know that are coming up, or even things that maybe we haven't discussed that maybe you are thinking about doing over the course of this year, because I don't know. I know we've got Gallery Walk. We plan on trying to be there as often as possible each month in Brattleboro. So we'll be fighting at those every half an hour or so.
So definitely, if you're local and you want to not drive super far, you want to just get a taste of what we're talking about, come to Gallery Walk in Brattleboro, which you should all be coming to anyway, because it's just so much fun. And
what time is it from?
It generally goes, I think, 5 to 9.
Gotcha.
It's right downtown. You can't miss it. And we'll be setting up out front of the tower, I believe, so long as we have enough members to do some fights. And we'll just have it on a structure like every half hour. On the half hour, we'll be doing some series of fights. And we kind of shortened a little bit, so we're not going to be doing full, like what we would do in a competition, because we only have so much time. There are other performers, but we'll do like, 30-second really intense rounds or something, and then a little bit of a shorter break to get at it and just kind of get people cycling through to see some fights and then open the street back up. But yeah, it's a great time to come see the stuff in person, pick up a helmet, grab a sword. Sean sometimes lets people give him a whack with their weapon so you can just feel what that feels like if you'd like, and if you're still up for that.
Always.
But yeah, we had a very large crowd last time, lots of interest, and it was really cool to see people from the whole community come and stop and be like, this is like something that I haven't seen before.
And we had an email list, and I acquired a bunch of emails, and I've sent them all out to potential new members who might want to come, so hopefully some of those will snag.
And then besides Gallery Walk, which we'll be doing locally, the biggest thing that is like kind of a New England event is we've got this event called Rookie Rumble. It's down in Charlton, Mass. again at the Ye Olde Commons.
And it's put on by the Knights Hall,
It's put on by the Knights Hall, and this usually kind of coincides with like a 5-day-long kind of camp-out event that they call Valhalla Battle Fest. So this brings people all the way from all over the country to come camp out for a few days, and the pinnacle of the event is this Rookie Rumble, where it's the main thing on this one day where all the people who have like a year or 2 of experience are allowed to get into this ring. And it's just like a free-for-all, essentially. Last year we had 30 fighters. It was my first time doing it. And they just give you a number, and they'll just randomly call every 15 seconds 2 fighters' numbers in. You go on the list, and it's like, now there are 2 people in this list, and you kind of like, start fighting. And then 15 seconds later, they call 2 more people, and now there's 4 people on the list, and you're still fighting. And then there's 6, and then there's 8, and then someone goes down, but now there's 9, until like...
I did not know
Until there were
this.
all 30 people in there. At that point, you have people on the ground.
I thought everybody started in there at once.
Nope, they just call them. So I got called like halfway through. I was kind of lucky in that I wasn't one of the first ones. I made it to the final 4, mostly by just being in the corner, afraid and running away when like the real stuff was coming near me. I'd be like, kind of like half throwing some shots, like I hope I don't get hit.
I mean, it's a technique.
Yeah. So that was great. And then they do another event called Warlord Tournament. It's another big fighting thing. So that one's all very kind of individual, like a mosh pit of fights. The next one is, again, you start off with 2 1v1 fights. Whoever wins it, those 2 people are now on that person's team. Then they'll go against another 2 people who had the same situation. It's 2v2s. Whichever team wins it, now they're a 4-person team. And it just grew until we had 2 15-people teams, and it was just chaos. It's a slow grind of exhaustion because you're doing so much fighting that night. But it's a real blast. And this is something that's also open to the public. It's something I definitely recommend, and especially for our new fighters on the team. And if you're in our club and you've been around for a little while, people can make their kit available to you. There's a lot of fighters who obviously you have that 2-year time limit, so people make their stuff, open for other people to use so they can get their rookie Rumble time in.
Right.
Yeah.
And you might be still in that time, like you mentioned.
I might still be in there. I hope I've only gone to 1, but I kind of started a little bit earlier, so we'll see what happens.
And this will be my first.
Yeah, it's
I'm
going to
really
be great.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And then second Cheese Cup.
Yeah.
We will be doing a second Cheese Cup. We don't have a whole lot of information on it yet because we haven't determined what the venue will be and when.
Yeah,
like
it's
when
in
probably
the works,
sometime in the fall.
Yeah.
But we haven't
Good time to do
determined.
it.
Yeah, it'll be nice and cooler, and hopefully be able to get a lot of the same people coming. Get some people from Canada, get some people from Maine, New York, Massachusetts, like all over the place, like all over this area of the world. And competing together again, like doing some melees and some duels. And maybe we'll have a hay bale arena again, because which we fought in. That was our first Cheese Cup right there on that picture. But I really enjoyed it.
This is Sean and I fighting in these pictures, actually, by the way.
I really enjoyed the hay bale arena, but apparently a lot of people who are like traditional melee fighters,
They hated it.
They hated it because there was no list to lean on while you're doing the fighting, which is a big part of like half of what the team is usually
It's
doing.
a different game.
It's a completely different game.
Yeah, it was control the center of the ring. You don't want to be on the outside.
Right.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe we'll bring in a list for when we do it this time, because I know the people in Maine have offered to be able to bring their list to us.
Yeah.
Second Cheese Cup, and that's about it. So can you think of any other events, just off the top of your head before we end today?
Sure. Yeah, off the top of my head, I think
that you're planning on.
That I'm planning on going to. I know up in Maine, the Maine team, they did something at some old Scottish Heritage Day thing. I think it was at Thomas Point Beach or Thompson Point Beach. It's not Portland, it's a little bit further north in Bath. And that was amazing. It's like this Scottish Heritage thing. There's like thousands of people milling around doing their Scottish stuff. And then we got to have our corner, which was right by the bay. So we're like right on the ocean. It's beautiful. And just like a really fun day to kind of, and they had some crowd interaction too, where they were bringing people in. It's like, okay, so you see the steel fighting. Who wants to come in and sign the liability waiver where you won't sue us, and you can do some practice with the soft kit stuff, and so they got some crowd interaction. That was really fun. And then another one I definitely want to do is go to, if things work out, I'd love to go to Carolina Carnage again next year if I can get a spot on one of the duelist rosters, because that was such a rush to go and get on a plane, bring my gear, fly down, rent a car, drive and go to this arena where there were hundreds of fighters. Fighting for the whole weekend, and it was a long weekend. It was amazing. It was really cool. Got to meet a lot of cool people and get to know the Knights Hall crew better and help out with the Executioners and the Banshees. There's nothing like it. I'd love to do that again.
The only other thing that I can think of is the event at Fort Number 4.
Right.
That the Reavers will be doing from Maine.
I didn't count that one because I'm going to be busy, so I can't go.
Yeah, and they're coming right to Charlestown, and I plan on myself and maybe some of the other people who are part of VAC by that time will be being mercenaries for the two teams that are going to be having what's called a chapter match. Because I don't know why it's called a chapter match, but that's the term for it, for just like two teams coming together and doing kind of like a demo fighting melee. Yeah,
it works. It's a little bit more like two teams just going at it kind of over the course of the day. So it's almost like a football game where you see who wins each quarter, and then they break it up by quarters. So it's kind of who's amassing the most points. And then, by the end of the game, you kind of have a winner between the two teams. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Usually they break it up with some dueling, so the melee fighters can take a break.
Right.
And they might have a duelist come and represent one particular team. So then, those two fighting will score points for the melee teams that they're representing.
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of pressure for those duelists.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'll be going to that event. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that. Doing some mercenary work. Haven't done that yet.
That'll
where
be
I've, like,
fun.
represented another team
Yeah.
for them. So that'll be fun. But yeah, so thank you for coming to another episode to Breaking Down Buhurt, and hopefully see you next week.